For my section of the presentation, I researched bisexuality, and specifically I looked at bisexual erasure. Eisner reported in 2013 in her book that bisexual erasure can be defined as a widespread social phenomenon of erasing bisexuality from any discussion in which it is relevant or is otherwise invoked, with or without being named. Bisexual erasure means, among other things, a lack of representation, a lack of community, lack of awareness, lack of speech, and lack of acknowledgement. It means that most of the time, most of our culture operates under the presumption that bisexuality does not and cannot exist. This mindset of bisexuality is invisible or being erased from our societies, adding to the gay-straight dichotomy that exists in today's society. So much of what we see is either you are gay or straight, you are black or white, you are right or wrong. And there's so much that exists in the gray area in between that allows for individuals to truly access who they are. There are multiple different forms of erasure that occur within bisexuality. There is a belief that bisexuality can only be defined through partnership. Bisexuality can be defined by someone's romantic and sexual partners. However, if we allow this kind of erasure to exist, it doesn't allow monogamous bisexuals to feel valid. If this is true, bisexuality can only apply to non-monogamous couples and threesomes, which does not give monogamous bisexuality a chance to be acknowledged within society. There's also erasure that occurs through transitional beliefs. Bisexuality is often seen as a phase from gay to straight, or a transition as people are figuring out their orientation and deciding if they are gay or straight. This belief that it can only be a phase ignores the fact that there is so much sexual orientation that lies in between heterosexual and homosexual. Bisexuality is not rendered as valid when it's considered only to be a phase or a transition, because there's so much that can occur within the orientation that does not need to lie on one end of the spectrum or the other. The final form of erasure that I looked at was ignorance. So much of bisexuality is ignored, and this recognition of bisexuality is seen to destabilize the gay-straight dichotomy. However, there is so much that lies outside of the dichotomy. It is not either or, it is not gay, straight, it is not right, wrong. There's a spectrum that covers sexual orientation. There's place for people to lie in between as they discover themselves, as they accept who they are. And any act of combining or grouping sexual orientations erases all of the differences that they experience as a part of their sexual identity. Through this whole phase of deciding who you are according to your sexual orientation, you're experimenting, you're finding yourself, and all of those experiences lead to who you are as an individual. So looking only at the either or the gay or straight doesn't allow validation for all of those in-between moments as well. Looking specifically at erasure in adolescence, as we look more at the education side, there are lower levels of protective factors that are presented in bisexual adolescents when they're compared to monosexual adolescents. Monosexual refers to both heterosexual homosexuals, looking at both gay adolescents, lesbian adolescents, and heterosexuals. Some protective factors that are included can be like family connections, teacher connections, safety at school, friend support, community support, feeling like you have a place to belong as you're existing in this universe that we call our lives. It was seen in studies that bisexual adolescents were more likely to report lower levels of protective factors, which can contribute to performances in school, social, emotional, and physical well-being, as well as just a generalized well-being state. Our job as future educators is to be aware of this erasure and how we can work against it. There's so much erasure present, especially within the bisexual community, that as educators, we need to know that things do not lie in a dichotomy. There's so much of a continuum and a spectrum going on that we have to be able to acknowledge both sides of it. It's not gay or straight, it's gay, straight, or whatever else you choose to lie in between. There's more to be validated than just one or the other, right or wrong. To be aware of this erasure is going to help educators be more accepting of their students and allow them to educate in a way that is helpful to bisexual erasure, so that we can help to work against the gay straight dichotomy and operate more in the in between rather than in the right or wrong.